So today I'm going to show you guys how to make a little Gambel's quail. I have two different ones here. One's 2 inches, the other one's about 3 inches. I found the little 2-inch one works a little better. It sounds a little better. The 3-inch one's a little deep. You can change the pitch by stretching on this rubber band. I'll show you how to do that later. So pretty much all you need is a little wooden dowel. I got this from Walmart for about $2. You can make a whole bunch of them, give them to your friends or whatever. A saw. I'm using a hacksaw because it's really the only thing I have. Some sandpaper. I have 80 grit to make the work a little faster, and then 220 grit to make everything nice and smooth. Also, you'll need rubber bands. And so next we will cut the wooden dowel. I'm going to do 2 inches because the one that I have sounds a little better than the 3-inch. Alright, so I just cut the end off about 2 inches. If you can see here, it's not really that flat, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to rub it down on the sandpaper to just kind of flatten it out. And this is the 80 grit. That looks pretty good right there. Now I'll just go to the 220, kind of smooth it out. And then the edges are kind of fraying a little bit, so I'll just take it right here and just kind of twist. Make some good looking edges there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to need to split this right in half. Now you can see the grain line here, and the ones from Walmart, the grain isn't really that straight. So instead of just splitting it down the middle with a chisel and a punch, I'm going to have to use the hacksaw. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take the hacksaw and I'm going to try and go as straight as I can, straight down the middle. Alright, so I got it all split in half. Using the hacksaw, it took a little longer than I wanted it to, but it's done. So when you're done cutting it, you can still see there's a little bit here. You're going to have a whole bunch of saw marks. So what you want to do is you want to take it nice and flat and just kind of rub it down until all of those marks are gone. You want a nice surface where they can both kind of pair up. So now what I'm going to be doing is I took this one apart. This is one I already made. This is the longer one. So you can see on one side that one side's smaller than the other. So that's what we're going to be doing. There's a little concave in here. We're going to have to sand it out a little bit. You don't want to sand all the way to the edges because you want those two parts to seal up nicely. So that's where this comes in. We're going to use that. Put the sandpaper across it, and since we want one side bigger than the other, I'm going to start kind of on one side. So remember, you don't want to go all the way to the edge. So we're just going to go back and forth here. You don't want it too big, so just kind of be careful of how far you're going down. So just keep checking it with the other part. You can see that it's already starting to open up a little bit. You just kind of want to press down on one side a little bit harder than the other. Okay, now it's starting to open up pretty good. So now basically I'm just going to keep going down until this side just starts to open up, and then I'll switch around and we'll come back to the other side. Okay, so I got the one side to where I want it to be. So I didn't open it that much on either side. This one's a lot less than the other side. You don't want to go too much because you're going to do the other side as well. And when you do the other side, this hole's going to open up a lot more. So now I'm going to do this side and just keep an eye on which side you're doing it. So what you can do is you can just mark both sides, just because you don't want to end up doing it and then have it to swap it around. Although it could work if your both of your sides are completely even. Mine are not, so I'm gonna make sure I have a direction. So now I'm gonna sand this one down, and when I'm done with that, we can go ahead and put it together and put the rubber bands in, and I'll show you how to use it. Okay, so I have my basic shape roughed out. I got my big opening on this side and my small opening on this side. Now again, this is just rough. This is, I'm just gonna kind of tune it here. It's gonna open up a little bit more when I put the rubber band in too. So we'll go ahead and do that now. So basically all you do is you just put the rubber band in between them and just kind of sandwich it. See, make sure I got my things lined up. You want it in the middle. Just kind of hold down on it. So now, on this side is the small side. So you can see it kind of opened up a little bit. So it sounds all right. It sounds pretty good. You can kind of mess around with the pitch by pulling on it, making it tighter. That sounds pretty good right there. So I'm just going to leave that where it is. I am going to take the 220 grit and just kind of smooth out the inside and the lip piece here and probably the other side, just because I don't want splinters in my lips. I don't think anybody does, so I recommend doing that. So we'll go ahead and do that now. Alright, so I got everything smoothed out. I like the pitch where it was. It sounded really good. So we're going to go ahead and put the rubber bands in there. These are about 1/8 inch thick or wide. You can probably use different size rubber bands. These are the ones that I've used. They work for me, so it's what I'm going to use. Go ahead and sandwich it in there. Again, we'll put one side on. So all you're going to do is you're just going to put it on the end there. Try and get that tight. And then you're just going to wrap it around a whole bunch of times. Make sure it holds on there pretty snug, because you don't want that rubber band loosening up. Otherwise it'll change the pitch. And one more. Okay. So now we can kind of play around with it a little bit, since this side's already held down, and pull on this. Sounds like a sad quail. So I think what it is the hole on this side isn't opened up quite enough, so when I put the rubber band in there, it pretty much just sealed up the hole. So now I have to stretch it really far in order to get just a little bit of sound. So I'm going to go back to the sandpaper and I'm going to open up that side a little bit more. Okay, so I opened up this side a little bit more. Not too much. You still want it smaller than the other side. So it's just a little bit, not too much. So we'll go ahead and put it on there. Okay, so that looks a lot better. actually getting some sound out of it. That's good. So that sounds pretty good right there. What you really want to do is you want to take this out into the field and actually try calling in some quail. And you don't really call them in, they just kind of, they'll talk back to you a lot. And basically you just want to try and set the pitch up to match the quail that you're hearing. So younger quail kind of have a higher pitch sound. Older quail kind of have a lower pitched. So again, you can sit there and just play around with the pitch, get it to where you want it. So basically how you use these is you want to say Chicago. And it sounds weird. You're not really saying Chicago, but you're going Chicago. And it actually comes out sounding like a quail. Some people say, how are you? I find Chicago works pretty well. So that's it.